Welcome to I Said What I Said. I'm Brad Wakai. That's Tyson Gentri. Ladies and gentlemen, it's March. It is conference tournament time, and we're going to preview. We call it the Big Five, really. It used to be the Big Six as we kind of talk about the major conferences in college basketball. So what we're going to do, this will be the first edition that we do. The first two of we call the Big Five that tip off for these conference tournaments, ACC, Big 12. So we're going to start with the ACC. We're going to get into the Big 12. The next few that we're going to be releasing are the Big East, Big 10, SEC. So how we're going to do this is talk about the teams that we think can actually have a shot of winning these conference tournaments. So in the ACC, Tyson, let's just dive right in. We'll kind of pull up the bracket and all that good stuff in a little bit, but let's just talk about who we think can win. And I think it comes as no surprise that we both have Duke, Clemson, and then I have Louisville in as a third possibility to win. So why don't we just kind of go over this and tell the people why we think those are the only three teams in the ACC who we believe will win this tournament.
Well, the Duke one feels easy, right? Number one team in the country, probable player of the year winner, well coached, a bunch of other really good players, good offense, good defense. I think when people hear Clemson, especially if you haven't been paying attention to this college basketball season, like for them to be R2 and just about everybody else's, I think if you're going to look at some of these ACC things and who they're predicting to win, I think Clemson is like, if you have to squint and find somebody in the ACC to beat Duke, they seem to be the hot team. I don't have Louisville here, but Brad, why don't you explain to the people a little bit why Clemson is here for us?
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at Clemson, we kind of have a rule, and it's a rule that you look at if you're who can make a run in March, and we got all this data now to look at who's actually good. They're 18th in adjusted offense, 23rd in adjusted defense overall in the conference at second and third. So they're going to be able to score the rock against anybody. They're going to be able to shut down anybody. Now, Duke is first, both those metrics, second and fourth in the country. So Duke's the rightful favorite, and they're monster favorites here, and I think they're going to win here. But at Clemson, they match up well against Duke. They have good wings. They have good guards. It's a team that is well coached as well with Brad Brownell. So I think that they are a team, if Duke gets picked off or even if they rematch in a one-game national championship or title championship or conference championship scenario, that they can win. For me, Tyson, I'll go over this quickly for Louisville, and I'm curious to know kind of why you're out on them. Fourth in adjusted offense in the conference, second in adjusted defense. For the country, they're 24th and 14th in those metrics. No, so those check my boxes. Now, I love Pat Kelsey as a coach. I understand that, this is a transfer-laden team, but I think they've been able to gel together lately. So I do think if Louisville can get hot, that they have a good enough defense where I think they can stifle a team. Now, are they going to be able to beat Duke? We'll see. But I do think metrically they check all the boxes, and I think, okay, they can win the tournament here.
No, absolutely. I'm not in disagreement there, but when we put this together, I kind of approached it from like who's going to win who can win the conference tournament, and to me, it just feels like Duke is rightfully that massive favorite. The ACC isn't the SEC where there's not Florida and Tennessee and some of the other guys, and I think Duke looks like the best team in the country, and I just kind of looked at this one and was like, well, if somebody's going to beat him, I think it's going to be Clemson, and that's about it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I think, and especially let's pull up the bracket here for just everybody to take a look at as we're going over this. And if we got it pulled up on YouTube here, if you want to take a look, and if you can, and if you're listening to podcast form, pull it up with us, because Duke, they get into the bye, the double bye, as they say. They're going to face the winner of Georgia Tech and Virginia, both teams who are really running on fumes here. So I don't think that's a challenge for them here. And then you kind of look at, okay, before they get into the semifinals or who they're going to face in the semis, either Wake or probably North Carolina. And now we just saw Duke play North Carolina, and that was everybody and their mother was out in Chapel Hill, and they brought back all the legends, and, if we win this, we're in the tournament. And then Duke just kind of was like, all right, we're going to take it to another gear, and Carolina ran out of gas when it was close at halftime. And that's really the way it was. So I don't think there's a real challenger for Duke on that before they reach the semifinals, Tyson. Even then, I think they're going to waltz into the championship game untested in this league. What do you think about this and anything that jumps out to you in the early state here?
No, I mean, you can't even say, like, great draw for Duke because this is, like, the way it looked like it was going to set up anyways. Like, we kind of knew this. And, yeah, they deserve to have this path, and I think they're who's the biggest threat over here, do you think, to make it so Duke doesn't reach the championship game?
I'd say Wake. I mean, so the Carolina rematch. It
doesn't feel real.
No. And I think it depends, Tyson, because Wake was really physical with Duke last time, and they're just like they're just not going to call all these fouls. And Duke in the past, and we kind of gotten bitten by this in the last couple iterations as John Shire team, a little bit soft. And I say that as a big Duke fan, and I think that's kind of like an unfair mantra to say they're soft, but like the way to beat them, because they've been so talented and so skilled, is to just push them around and like, oh, they're going to be able to play through this contact. This Duke team can. And so I don't think Wake necessarily poses them a huge challenge, but I think if they are going to allow a street fight, Wake would be better served than North Carolina, who I think wants to out-finesse teams and just score a million points.
Yeah, I think so too.
So let's look at the bottom here, and I think Clemson and Louisville, my two picks. You have Clemson. You got to decide if you think these two can match up and beat each other, because Virginia Tech, California, the opener, and then the winner plays Stanford. Then the winner of that game will play Louisville. I don't think any of those offenses are going to be able to beat Louisville. Now, we say this, Tyson, we see it every single year in March. Somebody gets hot, somebody wins, somebody makes a run. But the ACC just feels different. It's the haves and the have-nots more than anybody. And we'll get into the other conferences later where we don't think it's like that. But I just don't know if anybody's battling Louisville or Clemson on this side of the bracket before they reach the semis against each other.
Yeah, and it's not like, again, I don't want to pick on the ACC, but like we'll talk about it with Michigan State, with the way that they, have a tendency to be up and down when it comes to shooting the basketball. I don't know if any of these teams are going on a 4 or 5 game run or whatever it is of shooting 40% from three, as well as playing good defense, because it's ultimately what it's going to take to even get to a point where you get to play Duke when you're in this bottom half.
Right. And I think, Tyson, we kind of pull back out of here and do some closing thoughts. We're going to do some quick previews and try to get you guys out and what we know here. These are the best teams in the conference, in our opinion, when it comes to the metrics that we like to look at, right? Adjusted offense, adjusted defense, eye test, things like that. These are the teams that could win. Even Tyson slashed Louisville out of there. So it's really Duke or Clemson or nothing, and I tend to agree with that. I think one of those two teams are going to win the championship. You agree with that, Tyson, as well?
Yeah, absolutely. If it's not Duke, where does this rank for you? I mean, it doesn't matter if they go on to win the national championship. We got a little Ohio State action on our hands, maybe. Lose to Michigan, season's over, and then you win it all. But if this Duke team doesn't win, where does it rank on your disappointments?
This might be up there. The Zion team with R.J. Barrett,
right?
Yeah, that one was tough. That one was really tough.
What about K getting smacked by North Carolina?
That was tough. I love that Banchero team. That probably was number one. The Zion 2, and then this would rival it though. This team is so good. Like I said, if they win the championship, this team is up there with some of those Leitner teams. Like just how complete and how deep they are, and how good like the premier guy is. I mean, you got like Grant Hill and Leitner and Buddy Hurley on the same team. Like God, those teams were stacked. And this team is really, really good. So I think Tyson, there's an argument like, well, do you want to win the ACC tournament too? Just keep playing good basketball. It's like, just don't even think about losing and then let's go on a run.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think that they're well positioned to do that. And if they lose, I think they're probably still going to get a 1 seed in the tournament.
I would agree with that. Number 1 overall seed now. I think they would at least make the semis, probably the championship game. So we think Duke or Clemson are going to be cutting down the nets in the ACC tournament. We'll be back talking Big 12 with a little bit more parity there. So come check us out there, and we keep it going for the rest of the Big 5 tournaments. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk to you guys then. Peace.